For a very long time, there was a common belief that it was pretty much impossible to adapt video games into live action or even animated projects without it being cursed in some way. There was a long period of time where we tried to have a number of video game adapted blockbuster movies, and well, that produced some cult hits like the entire Resident Evil franchise. For the most part, that held true. But recently, a lot of companies, especially Netflix, have gone out of their way to court video game properties, and we've had a good amount of solid results at this point. The Sonic the Hedgehog movie was actually a lot of fun. Netflix had great success with the animated Castlevania series. But what might be the most successful project of all, at least in terms of critical and audience acclaim, is one that is still airing, and yet it is putting up numbers kind of that we've never seen in this genre before, and really almost that Netflix itself has ever seen. I'm talking about Arcane, which is an animated series made by Riot Games and a French animation company in conjunction with Netflix that is adapting stories from the League of Legends world. That is one of the most popular video games on Earth. It is a MOBA, a multiplayer online battling game, and it has 150 plus characters to choose from, and the show kind of pulled out 6 or 7 of them and told a story about two sisters, Vi and Jinx, and their relationship along with other characters in that world. This has been a very well-received series, but even saying that is kind of putting it lightly. It has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is not like the most uncommon thing you'll ever see, and yet the user reviews are really where this is kind of going crazy. It has a 98% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 9.4 on IMDb. And in context, I mean, you rarely see 98% audience scores hold for anything on Rotten Tomatoes. That almost never happens. But with IMDb, you could actually kind of track this in the larger context of TV. And here's some of the other shows that have a 9.4 or below on IMDb right now. Breaking Bad, Band of Brothers, Chernobyl, The Wire, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Game of Thrones, The Sopranos, Rick and Morty, and then just a lot of documentaries about space and Earth and things like Planet Earth. So currently, it is one of the highest reviewed shows kind of ever by audiences. And we are still only 6 episodes out of 9 episodes in. I have been tracking this kind of, these kind of reviews for a long time. And what usually happens is that something that can be really popular may start out really high, but over time you'll see more and more reviews come in and the score drops. That has not happened with Arcane. After 6 episodes out of 9, both of those scores have stayed exactly the same. 98% audience score and 9.4 on IMDb have stayed rock solid through both batches of episodes, and unless they really drop the ball with the finale, it seems that this is going to be kind of a permanently highly acclaimed show, and I simply have not heard almost anyone say anything bad about it. In terms of its actual popularity, that's a bit of a different story. Arcane is very popular kind of globally, but it has struggled a bit in the US compared to other countries. At one point, earlier this week, it was the number one show on Netflix in 52 countries, I believe, but it has struggled in the US, where I saw it get to number 2 once, but it almost immediately dropped to number 9 or number 10. We will see maybe once the final 3 episodes are out if it can ever surge to number 1, but the US is one market where, for some reason, it has not been able to kind of break through over Netflix's other TV offerings. And that said, given how much of a global hit it is, I would assume we are going to be getting more seasons of the show. I don't know whether that will continue on with these exact same characters, or if Riot is going to move kind of elsewhere in the world and explore many of its other dozens and dozens and dozens of characters that it can pull from. But this is just kind of further evidence that the whole video game adaptation curse is not really a thing anymore. Netflix has countless video games based shows in production, both animated and live action. It is one of its most popular shows before this is The Witcher, which is definitely mainly based on the book series, and yet very much informed by the CD Projekt Red game series. including Henry Cavill's portrayal of Geralt, where he's a big gamer, and use that influence. So that is kind of a gamer-centric show that is done extremely well. In the future, we have HBO adapting The Last of Us, which anything HBO takes on is, kind of a different level of prestige, and to see that project, which is one of the most acclaimed games ever, get its own series is going to be very interesting to watch. What Arcane does, I think, is allow for a lot broader range for these kind of projects being adapted. Not all of them are this well received. I'd say this is the most well received one I've seen since Castlevania. Even it's probably surpassed Castlevania at this point, but it is a great show, and most importantly, it's something you can watch without knowing anything about the game. That's kind of the most common question about it, is whether you can enjoy Arcane if you don't play League of Legends, and the answer is absolutely yes. It might almost benefit you because you don't really know who these characters are and what they might become in the future, whether it's a hero or a villain or whatever. And the running joke is that if you love Arcane, you still shouldn't play League of Legends because it has very little in common, I'd say, with the show other than the characters, and it is not very story-based game. It is a game about fighting with your teammates and kind of raging in matches, which can be exhausting. Plenty of people like League of Legends, but it is a little bit hard to break into compared to most other games. So I'm going to keep watching Arcane and seeing what these numbers do. I literally have never seen anything quite like this as long as I've been tracking audience scores for things. You'll often see things review bombed if something is really controversial, but this is universal praise among fans that I have almost never seen, not even in the genre, but just kind of in general. I've never seen a show this well received in recent memory, even if it is not as high profile as some of these other examples that I read previously. So we'll see what happens with it, but absolutely recommend it, and I'm curious to see what they do for a second season.